Well, good evening again, and a second welcome to the second half of our 2022 Candidate Forum for ISD 181 Board of Education. And again, I'm thanking everybody for continuing to attend here tonight and those watching on Facebook. For those of you that didn't hear the introductions, I'm Matt Seymour. I recently was the owner of Q Square's gas stations. I'm a previous board chair and still on the board at the Brainerd Lakes Chamber of Commerce. And it's truly my honor to be serving you tonight as your forum moderator. Tonight's forums have been brought to you by collaboration between the League of Women Voters, the Brainerd Dispatch, the Brainerd Lakes Chamber, with support from the Brainerd Lakes Area Community Foundation and Bladec. We also like to thank Forest View Middle School staff for helping us host this event here tonight. So as we move into the second half here, where we again will ask people to be as quiet as possible when candidates are speaking, to make sure that we hear all their answers. Please hold your applause until the end of the forum. So that's going to be about another hour, and then we will clap again. We would ask you to turn your cell phones off to silent or have them off, and remind you that there's no photography or video recording allowed during the forum. This event is, however, live streamed on the Brainerd Lakes Chamber Facebook page, and it will also be available afterwards on its website, brainerdlakeschamber.com. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates alone, not those of any of the forum organizers. None of the organizers endorse candidates or political parties, and if you need more information on all the political races that are going on, please refer to your program cards or the guide. As we mentioned before, we do have time constraints, so we have asked all the candidates to be careful with the time, and I'm here to strictly enforce and respect your time as well. So the candidates will see display cards indicating the amount of time they have remaining, and they'll also hear a bell to indicate when their time is up. So before we begin, I think we should give the candidates, the sponsors, the event venue, and all the volunteers a round of applause. So we're going to start off with opening statements from the candidates. I'll be asking one of the candidates to start off, and then we'll move down through around the table of the candidates, and then the next question, that'll go to the second person and onwards, you'll see. So each person will get the chance of being the first person to answer a question. So the opening statement should be 1.5 minutes, and I'm going to start off asking Charles to begin.
Hello everyone, my name is Charles Blacklance, and I'd like to share with you just a few things that motivate me and bring me here to be part of hopefully for this next 4 years, the school board. And first and foremost is I've loved Christ Jesus as my personal Lord and Savior since the age of 12. I am also a father and a husband. My children are ages 15, 13, and 11, and are all part of the ISD 181 school district as well. Also, I'm a husband of 17 years to my wife, Catherine, and she's currently in Alexandria watching my oldest daughter play volleyball. And my 13-year-old daughter is in the back supporting me, which I appreciate that. Also, I'm a courageous advocate for public education and youth. And then finally, I have 24 years experience as an educational professional successfully managing large annual budgets for Central Lakes College.
Okay, great. DJ.
Hi, thanks for coming out tonight. I'm sure you had fun things to do. Come listen to us. My name's DJ Dowlinger. I grew up in Brainerd. Graduated from Brainerd High School, as did my wife, Chris. We've been married for 31 years. All 4 of our parents graduated from Brainerd High School, and as well did our kids. I'm a business in town. You've probably heard me on the radio maybe a couple times. We sell cars. We're out at the airport teaching people how to fly and selling gas and working on airplanes. I think that Brainerd is a small community. We don't have a lot of industry here, and I just feel it's important that our school stays strong. that without smart kids, Brainerd's community is going to suffer. And that's the reason I'm running. I think it's important. I think we can make some changes. And I don't see the 30-second sign yet. But I think that, for example, Brainerd School's MCAs. From 2013 to 2022, Brainerd's down 18% in math and 11% in reading. Not quite, 10.8. I think we need to get back to basics. I think we need to get back to teaching the things that public schools were started for. So that's why I'm running.
Okay. Randy.
Good evening. My name is Randy Heidman. I was born and raised in Gaylord, Minnesota. I attended Mankato State University on a baseball scholarship. I played minor league baseball in the Minnesota Twins organization, and after I was done with that, which was not very long, I went back and got my degree from Mankato State. I moved to Brainerd in 1977. I began employment with Universal Pensions. I also worked for Wolters Kluwer Financial Services in St. Cloud. 45 years later, in May of this year, I retired as a plan consultant and seminar instructor. I worked with colleagues on complex IRS tax laws and regulations. We had a lot of discussion, a lot of different opinions, and teamwork were all essential, however, in reaching consensus on interpretations of those laws. I gained a lot of experience also and knowledge in developing curriculum for retirement plan training courses. My experience with those two endeavors, curriculum development and working in a collaborative team environment, will help make me a better board member. My family, Lorna, sons Zachary and Taylor, are all graduates of Brainerd High School. If elected, some of what I want to accomplish include to inspire for a best-in-class school district so students are educationally equipped to lead a productive and successful life in whatever they chose an endeavor. I want to remove progressive politics from the classroom.
Okay, Randy, thank you. Elisa.
In 2007, I moved to New York Mills, population 1,150, and Brainerd became my metropolis. I came here about every month to visit my sister-in-law and family, to go shopping at Target, and I would hear about this incredible school system that my niece and nephew got to attend, and I secretly coveted it for my own future children. Fast forward 14 years. The pandemic inspires my husband and I to search for the perfect hometown to raise our family in. We get in an RV, drive 20,000 miles through 25 states, and discovered after 5 months that we'd been comparing every place to Brainerd, Minnesota. We moved here last September. I have a broad array of skills that I can bring to the school board from a wide-ranging set of career experiences. I gained financial skills as an investment banker on Wall Street. I learned how to run an organization when I co-founded an international economic development nonprofit. I then became a consultant and project manager, and I had the privilege to facilitate conversations between international government officials and Fortune 500 executives. I learned how to effectively lead conversations and focus on essential issues. Then I became a performing and literary artist, by the way, my hardest job to date, and I had to learn how to translate my ideas and stories into connection with my audiences and my readers. In a year, oh, are we all done? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Derek.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek Owen. Thank you all for being here and for the organizations that put this on. We definitely appreciate this invite. I am born and raised in Brainerd. I am married 19 years to my wife, Jolene. I have 2 children. Eli is a senior at Brainerd High School. My daughter is a 7th grader at Forest View Middle School. I graduated from Bemidji State University after 2 years here at Central Lakes College with a degree in public relations and mass communications. And I currently am the general manager at the Northern Pacific Center. I'm also a coach in the district. I coach freshman football and also the head sophomore baseball coach here at ISD 181. I'm a dad, I'm a coach, I'm a community member that just has a vested interest in the future of the kids here at ISD 181. We've had to deal with some unprecedented times, of course, and I feel that ISD 181 got off track a little bit, and I want to be a part of the solution to righting the ship, if you will, and making sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to give the youth in Brainerd the best possible experience at Brainerd as possible. I'm a 1998 graduate and am very proud to be a Warrior, and I hope to be able to instill that pride in our students so that they graduate from here with the skills that they have to take them to whatever's next, to a 4-year college, to a 2-year degree, to right into the workforce. So I'm excited for this opportunity and look forward to working with everyone.
Lowell.
First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and also the candidates up here. I know the time that this takes to actually put yourself out there. My name is Lowell Smith, and I'd love to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm running. I have been living here in Brainerd-Baxter for over 20 years. I have children that are a product of this school district. My youngest, Kate, started off pre-K here. My oldest daughter, Deb, sitting in the audience, coached in the district. I have multiple grandkids that are still in this district and one on the way. Thank you, Debbie. Why I'm running. I also need to tell you a little bit about my work experience. I have 42 years in public safety, 10 years as a police officer, combined for the city of Arlington, Texas, and then lastly as a drug enforcement unit agent for the Attorney General's office in North Dakota. I've been a firefighter paramedic paid for the city of Grapevine, and currently I have been serving the rest of my profession as an EMS professional, as a paid paramedic, and lastly, focusing as teaching our next generation. I'm full-time faculty and program director at St. Cloud Technical and Community College for the paramedicine program. I have a Bachelor's of Science from Minot State, a Master's in Arts of Teaching from Bemidji State, and finishing my educational doctorate in educational leadership from Minnesota State University, Moorhead. That's 10 seconds. Thank you.
All right. Sarah.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity tonight. Thank you for investing your time in doing your research, and thank you to the organizers. My name is Sarah Spear, and I am a current board member appointed for a vacant seat on the school board, and I'm running for this position because our students are the future of our community. I am invested in that ideal. I have experience in education, in management, and serving on multiple boards and committees within our school district. I'm a parent in the district and a community member for the last 20 years. As an experienced business leader, I have opportunity and access to learning and applying vision and strategy development practices, workplace culture programs, general leadership, management, improvement, policy, and process principles, all of which make me very comfortable and familiar in a system that practices continuous improvement and strategic planning. I'm a third-generation English teacher. I come from a family of educators and administrators. We like to say that education is the family business, and I know what it's like to be very committed to education and to quality education. I also have a degree in communications on top of my English education degree and a master's in business administration with a concentration in management. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm curious and I'm open-minded.
Great. So that concludes our opening statements, and we'll now move to the prepared questions. To remind the candidates, this is a 1-minute response, and again, we'll be moving the person who gets questioned first. That will rotate through the group. So the first question, which DJ, you'll get to answer first, and I'll repeat the question twice. So the first question is, why are you running for the school board, and what will be your top priority if you're elected? So why are you running for the school board, and what will be your top priority if you are elected?
I'm running for the school board for the kids. Kids are our future. I think that public schools have been around for about 190 years. They were designed because people realized that they couldn't teach. We needed professional educators. So public schools started, and I think public schools have drifted away from their goals. We need to start teaching more reading, more math, more arithmetic, civics. Kids, when they graduate from Brainerd High School, should have class, should know the difference between right and wrong. I think they should be ready to go out into the world, whether that's to go into the trades or to college or to tech schools. And I think that it's our job to get back to the basics, because I think there's so much going on that it can't be taught. Teachers are the same, the kids are the same. Why aren't the results the same? I think I can make a difference, or we can try.
Okay. Randy.
I'm going to be laser focused on academic excellence. And that can be accomplished by focusing on the core subject matters, reading, writing, math, proper history, computer skills. Computer skills to me are pretty doggone important, because the world is moving into technology, and our kids really need to have that training as well. Besides trade skills, life skills, and critical thinking skills. Per Tim Murtha's presentation at the September board meeting, we have a lot of work to do in our district. And we don't have time to be messing around with a lot of different things. Let's focus on education, and I want to reinstitute valedictorian and salutatorian honors. Advanced students deserve this challenge and recognition if achieved.
Okay. Elisa.
So last year, I volunteered every Thursday morning in my son's first grade classroom. And I thought I was there for him, but it turns out I was there for me. I fell in love with every single kid in that class. And so when I found out there were open seats on the board, I figured, this is a way I can serve the community. My youngest son just entered kindergarten, and I finally have some time that I can use for community service. So that's why I'm sitting here. And my priorities would be ensure a world-class education for every child, meet every child where they're at as who they are every day, remedy the achievement gaps that were exacerbated by COVID, and finally, revive community connections with communication and transparency. We need to bring the stories of the school to the community, and we need to bring the community into the schools, both figuratively and literally. So I went to public school all through before college, and that got me into Yale, and it got me to the London School of Economics. So I was prepared by public education, and I want to help all of our kids be prepared too.
Okay. Derek.
So I told you before that I'm a coach in the district, and that is something that is incredibly fulfilling for me. Having interaction with those players, those student athletes, and also the inspiration from my wife, who is a teacher as well, and I know the impact that she has in her classroom. And outside of being a teacher, what better way to give back to our students in this district than to run for the school board, to have that positive impact for them on a global scale. The top priority for me is going to be a tough one. I have a team approach. This is a big team that we're a part of, and we need to try to unify that team. I think a lot of things won't happen unless we all get on the same page. We have better relationships with our business communities, with just community members and parents. We all have to try to unify, get behind what we're doing at ISD 181, support a new superintendent, support our teachers. So unification is a top priority for me.
Okay. Lowell.
Hi, thank you. I am running because I feel public education in the last few years has become mired in political problems. We need to remove the politics, all of it, from our classrooms. We need to focus, as everybody said, on our declining scores and focus with academia first. Our students, all of them, need to have a pathway to succeed and be the best students that they can. Specifically, if elected, within 90 days of being elected, if you do, I will attempt to pass a Parents' Bill of Rights. This will include clarity and transparency in curriculum, textbook materials used, and lesson plans used. I want to focus on raising our academic standards. And lastly, I will own ensuring that ISD 181 has a successful and functioning safety plan, tools, training for our staff and everybody to ensure that we are able to identify students and other situations that may lead to potential violence.
Okay. Sarah.
I'm running because I love this community, and I think the health and vitality of this community is wrapped up and education. I think the way that we educate our children to become our neighbors and business owners and community leaders someday speaks volumes about who we are and what we believe in. And I see us rallying around this school. I see just in the last couple of weeks even how we rally around each other and we care and we invest. And I think we can continue to do that in a way that unifies us. My top priority is making sure each child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. And we have to do that in partnership with our community. And that is the mission statement of 181.
Okay. Charles.
Some more reasons why I'm running for school board is I would like to continue to invest in our community. Right now, I mentioned I'm a parent, but I've also been a coach for the last 12 years in terms of athletics. I also would like to provide a continuity of leadership on the school board for our district as well. Some of the top priorities I'd like to focus on is fiscal responsibility. Some of these realities are important, but it's difficult at the district level because of certain things like open meeting laws. We want to make sure that we have board work sessions where we can actually discuss the budget as a school district or as a school board. And most importantly, it's important to do this in front of all of you, making sure that these meetings are available for public viewing as well. And then finally, it's important that we continue to move forward with accountability and transparency as it relates to fiscal responsibility.
Okay. We'll now look to our second question, and Randy, you will have the first response to this. So I'll read the question twice. What are your ideas for stabilizing and increasing enrollment at Brainerd Public Schools? So what are your ideas for stabilizing and increasing enrollment at Brainerd Public Schools?
Very good question. I think what we need to do is, I would remove, as Lowell already mentioned, politics from the school, the classroom. These kids are being inundated with a lot of material, and I think a lot of parents are a little upset. They're moving their kids to St. Francis, they're going to Lake Region. I don't know if any of you know this or not, but St. Francis is thinking about a 9 through 12 high school. We need to be more competitive. And again, being laser focused on education, we've got to get back to it, and it's going to be tough. And parents that take their kids out, hopefully they'll come back. Don't know.
Okay. Elisa.
So what's the best way to make sure that kids from all around this area come to the Brainerd school system? Make the Brainerd school system excellent. And that means across the board. That means make sure there's incredibly high-level academics for our academically oriented students. Make sure that we have relationships with the businesses and the community college to offer opportunities for our more trade-focused students who want to graduate high school and go straight into the workforce and make a nice living. We want to make sure that we are leveraging our STEM training. We want to work on leveraging the arts. We want to make sure special ed is, and it is right now, Brainerd special ed is excellent. We want to continue that trend. And we want to make sure that all of our students are so well prepared for a complex global economy that everybody wants to bring their kids into the Brainerd school system.
Derek.
This is a tough question. I know we had students leave the district, and it's going to be hard to bring them back. So I wouldn't even focus on bringing people back. It's really the question that's here is stabilizing. And to do that, we have to show that we are making the strides and changes to be a school that people want to attend. And that's all the way from the school board all the way down to our students. It's all about accountability, making sure that the school is doing everything that they can to provide the best education for our students, giving them the best tools and resources, extracurriculars and arts, and all of those components need to be a big part of our school so that they are getting the best experience possible. Once people notice that we're doing that, I think that's a way of bringing back students or stabilizing the issue that we have. I'm going to throw a terrible joke out there that I said the reason I don't want increased enrollment is because we want to stay at 5A for football. But sorry, I know that's a bad joke. But no, it is a tough thing to do, but we have to show. The big thing is to make the strides and the effort and the steps that as a ISD 181 family, that we are making the strides to make our school better.
Okay, Lowell.
Thank you. We need to ensure that Brainerd is the educational choice in this area for all of our kids. How to stabilize that and bring that back? First, we need to ensure that we can have the smallest class sizes that we have available to us. We need to make more individualized opportunities for students and educators to hook up together and be able to learn. We need to improve the learning environment that the students have. We need to ensure that our money is spent on educational academics and not on culture and climate. We need to also ensure that we have a safe environment for all of our children and ensure that they're free of bullying. Ultimately, we need to meet or exceed the customer, that is you, the parents, their needs, and we only do that by listening, and that's how I would hopefully stabilize and increase our enrollment.
Sarah.
I don't think this is any single one silver bullet to how this is going to happen. I see this as the work of a community. I see that there are stories within our district, opportunities that our children have that they couldn't get maybe anywhere else in the state. They get to learn how to fly, they get to learn how to do graphic design, some of these things that other students aren't exposed to. And I think telling that story, sharing that story about the opportunities available here is important to making sure families know what they have as a gem in this area. And I think even as we bring in new businesses and as people come to this area, because we are vacation land and more people are working remotely, they know they're coming here and their children are going to get a great education. And I also think the plan put together by the district to help communicate and to help children feel like they belong is going to help as well.
Okay. Charles.
I feel it's important to continue to move the dial towards transparency within the district by increasing purposeful collaboration and effective communication with all aspects of our community, be the businesses and the families and the students as well. It's important that we continue to demonstrate and promote our commitment to academic excellence in order to retain our students that we currently have, but also to draw those students back that may have left or those families, and then also to be able to recruit students to our community as well. I also believe that we must continue to be and continue working on a school district that is financially and fiscally sound to support exceptional education. And it's important that we involve the community in those processes as it relates to how we do business, how we communicate, and where each of us board members come to the table in terms of our own values of fiscal management.
Okay. DJ.
You know, teachers and students are leaving 181 at kind of an alarming rate. It's not just the students that we're losing a lot of good educators. I've met with quite a few teachers, dozens, and the activity at our schools is out of control. They're being bit, they're being sworn at, spit on. The things second graders say to these teachers, I just can't even believe is tolerated. I think that the kids can't learn in that environment. I think there's too much distractions, and I think that parents are getting wise to it. And so, you know, I work in the retail, so I see so many people. There's a lot of people that have taken their kids to Pequot. There's teachers that are fleeing the district, and I think if we fix some of the behavior problems and get back on track and get rid of all this identity politics that we've got going on in our school, and just get back to teaching the basics, and I would say, for lack of a better term, rural Minnesota values, I think Brainerd can be back on top. I think everyone wanted to come here in the old days, and I think now we've kind of lost our edge.
Okay. So we'll move to question number 3, and Elisa, you'll be answering. You'll have the first chance to answer this. So the question is, how would you respond to parents' concerns about what is being taught in classrooms? So how would you respond to parents' concerns about what is being taught in classrooms?
So I have a 6 and an 8-year-old, and I, of course, am always thinking about their education. And I, too, want to make sure that they're getting the best education they can and being taught values that I share. And I also believe that we should be trusting our teachers. These are people who are very well educated and experienced in presenting the Minnesota standards and information to our students. And I wouldn't offer myself as a plumber because I've got no experience in it, but I'd hire someone who had experience and I'd trust them to do a good job. And I think we have to trust our teachers, and we also have to make it very easy for parents to know what's going on in the classroom. We actually have a website in ISD 181 that allows parents to see exactly what the curriculum and the standards are. But it's not very easy to find. I didn't even know it was there. So those are the kinds of ways that we can allow parents to feel more comfortable with what is being taught in the classroom.
Okay. Derek.
I think this comes down to accountability. We're responsible for setting curriculum. And so if a parent has a concern about that, we better be ready to meet with them. That is important to me, that we're an active board group, or that I will be very active in sitting down with the parent and going over their concerns. Again, if we're the ones setting and approving curriculum and the standards and go through them with what they are, then we better be ready to be able to talk face-to-face with a parent about their concerns about their child. I have, again, children in the district, also concerned with curriculum components, but it's super important to me that we have very good and clear communication to back up any decisions that we made when it comes to that curriculum, and give them the facts and reasons of why we made these decisions, whether it's meeting a curriculum standard or this was set by the state, things like that. But it's super important to me that if anyone ever reached out to me with a concern, that we're going to sit down face to face and have a conversation.
Okay. Lowell.
Dealing with any complaint, not just curriculum, first we need to take a deep breath. We need to understand that parents really just want their kids to be happy in school. We need to also take and look deeply into that complaint when they have one. We need to do due diligence, find out what their complaint is, why it is, and then give them clarity as far as why that decision's made. Most people want to know the why of what we do. Transparency will allow that to occur. We need to just listen to the parents. We need to ensure that the parents are heard, all of them, and that even if you don't vote for me, I will listen to you also. So all parents matter. Thank you.
Sarah.
What I think this question is really asking about is CRT, and why is that in our schools, and how is it in our schools? And I think if you're concerned about that, and your current concerns are about racial or gender or cultural references, that's something completely different. And we have professional teachers in this district that are degreed and trained, and they'd love to have that conversation with you about those references in their classroom and the context around them and why it's being taught. As for CRT, that is not anything that's being taught at this level. It's not anything that a teacher could sneak in a college graduate level into their classroom and teach that, nor do I think they would in this district. There's a curriculum process in place that regulates, the state standards that we teach, and that's not a textbook. It's the instruction, it's the assessment, it's the whole package, and that's something completely different.
Okay. Charles.
I believe it's important for parents and families and community members to become active consumers of education within our district. And what I mean by that is it's really important that you all take advantage and collaborate and communicate with the teachers and the administrators within your own individual schools. Be willing to read through the curriculum if need be. Come in and look at books that you might have questions about. But most importantly, I really encourage you all to develop a relationship with those individuals that are teaching your child. It's also important to be willing to ask questions and to get involved, respectfully, I hope, But this is your children, and this is your school district. It's important that you make the most of those opportunities. And then understand the different opportunities out there, like the District Advisory Committee, what is there to communicate and to be part of community participation that'll help develop curriculum and have input on curriculum for the community.
DJ.
What's the question? I can't remember
Yep.
anymore. I have to listen to all this stuff.
That's fine. How would you respond to parents' concerns about what is being taught in classrooms?
I would validate them. I think that the minds of our kids are being stolen. I think that we should be teaching kids how to think, not what to think. I think I don't know that it's happening with our board. I don't know that there's any one person that you can put your thumb on it that's like trying to push this agenda. But I think it's what's happening. I think it's with the Department of Education. I think it's with, the Teaching Association of the country, the state, the whole deal. For some reason, this seems to be so important. And in the meantime, our kids, grades are slipping, their enjoyment is slipping, mental health is accelerating, special ed is going off the charts. And I don't know why we continue down this road. Definition of insanity is to do the same things over and over and expect different results. Schools in Minnesota have been going this way, and I think it's time to take them back. We need individual thinkers.
Okay, Randy.
Parents need to be involved. They need to be looking and observing what their children bring home as far as homework, schoolwork, etc. Now, the state may have different standards that we have to have a certain number of credits in different disciplines. The school district, though, has the final say on what is in the curriculum. So I think, if I get elected, I'm going to be an active board member, etc. I'm not going to micromanage, but we need to know what's going on. I'm not going to ever question a teacher's motives. We have to be diligent. I just have one question. When is an illustrative pornographic picture different than a pornographic picture? I don't know what the difference is, but that's what we're seeing in some of these textbooks that some of these children are getting. Illustrations. What's the difference between that and the picture?
Okay. So we'll now move to question number 4. And Derek, you'll be the first one to respond to this. So the question is, how can the school district prepare students for career opportunities with local businesses? How can the school, I'm going to repeat it a second time, just make. How can the school district prepare students for career opportunities with local businesses?
That's a great question. I think it's super important as far as creating and building those relationships with our community. Having outside of classroom work where you're collaborating with a business. In particular, the Northern Pacific Center has opportunities for students to come over and learn certain trades. I think that is super important to foster growth with that student outside the classroom. And it is about building those relationships with our students. One of the, actually in my son's government class, they're getting any extra credit if they're helping a candidate with their platform for the year. And of course, he's not here and getting that credit yet, but hopefully he will be. But things like that, where we're encouraging our students to be a part of the real world. And I think we can foster and build relationships with our businesses in our community to set up programs to do that so that they can travel to these businesses, they can learn what they're doing, they can learn the trades, they maybe decide that that's something that interests them right out of school and they're going to go that route. But I think the school can set up programs to make that happen.
Okay. Lowell.
So much of the time we forget that education in ISD 181 is we only think about it as K through 12, but it is also adult education. We need to partner with our businesses. We need to listen to our businesses and bring all stakeholders involved to tell us what we are lacking for them. And then we need to address that need. If they're lacking in computer skills, basic computer skills, we need to focus on that. But ultimately, it's going to come down to partnerships and communication to where we listen to our businesses. My wife and my daughter own a business here in the community. We need to listen to the businesses and provide them with the workforce that they need to go forward.
Okay. Sarah?
I think we've done a good job starting down this path. We have these incredible facilities with culinary kitchens and welding shops and so forth. And now is our opportunity to say to the community, what do you need from us? What can we provide through these great facilities, through these opportunities for children? And let me give you an example. I got an opportunity to meet with 50 superintendents last week to do focus groups with them, and I asked, what are you doing that's innovative in your schools? And one of them said, we are offering a program that's called a market value asset. Each student leaves our school with either having done an internship, gotten a licensure, or has 8 college credits. And that's something we're putting in place in the next 3 years. We have 50% of our students right now that are doing that, but it's a plan we are really working hard at. And there's things out there, creative programs like this, that we can be thinking about and adopting into our own district.
Okay. Charles?
I feel it's important to realize as a community, 4 years ago, we invested in our education by providing the school district a $205 million construction referendum. And a big part of that was to be built into those students that are interested in career education, wanting to go out and work in our local communities. It's important that we build on that important step for us by collaborating with area businesses to provide clear and transparent communication with those individuals that are in the know as it relates to career education, or in relation to careers within our community. And then it's really important to make sure that we utilize their input and that we provide vehicles through working groups or accountability to make sure that we're hearing and applying what these businesses have to say as it relates to community education.
DJ?
I think that this would be an easy one for me, you'd think. I think that, we need to get maybe a little bit more basic accounting in the classroom. I think that attitudes are a big thing. I think that schools have gotten, and I'm not, I don't think it's just Brainerd schools, but I think schools in general, that if you're not going to go to college, you're kind of frowned upon. I think there's a lot of peer pressure from other kids to think that you're kind of a fool if you're not going to go to college, and I don't think everyone's built for college. I think that maybe counselors and teachers should be able to spot some of these bright kids that maybe aren't the ones that need to go to college, and find there's other avenues for them. I think they should be encouraging kids to work a little bit in the summer if it's just part-time to learn some skills. We started, I've been funding North Point Aviation. We have an aviation class at the high school, and we had one of our students just become captain. We started in 2014. So, he went through, went to Mankato, graduated, and now he's a captain of an airline. So it's pretty cool stuff, and it's out there.
Okay. Randy?
To me, extracurricular activities are very important. Getting a job after school, I think, is an extracurricular activity that's just as important. And I think we need to partner with businesses, as a number of people have said already. We need to partner with businesses, find out what their needs are. I took a tour of this school, and there's all these different, there's a robotics classroom, we've got a culinary classroom, there's all sorts of trade skills that we can be providing. And if we partner with local business to find out what those needs are, maybe we can match them up. Maybe there could be someone within the school district that will actually match up a child to a job. Et cetera. So again, getting a job after school is just as important as going out for football.
Okay. Elisa?
So we agree that many of us that we should be partnering with local business. So let's get to nuts and bolts of how. Let's recruit some business leaders in our community to create a steering committee. And we can reach out to local businesses to create programs for our students. We can also have our local business leaders come into the school. There was a junior achievement program where junior achievement volunteers were coming in and training our students. And that went by the wayside because of funding. It would be wonderful to have the opportunity to bring those volunteers back into the school now. We can also work with the Central Lakes College and find out what professionals they have there that we could partner up with and offer our high school students opportunities to go there. And I love the idea also of extracurricular activities and finding ways for the local businesses to host them so our students start feeling comfortable in those environments.
Okay, so we now move to the fifth question tonight, and Lowell, you'll be have the chance to first respond to this. So the question is, given the concerns about mass shootings, what actions would you support to increase safety in our schools? So I'll read the question again.
I don't need it, I'm good.
Well, it's for the rest of the group
Oh,
as well,
sorry.
so they can. So, given the concerns about mass shootings, what actions would you support to increase safety in our schools?
So I have 42 years of experience in this field. Even in my part-time job that I have, I was at the Buffalo shooting at the clinic. I can tell you that I will own this part of my school board duties. I will ensure that we have a hazard vulnerability assessment done each and every year and plans in place to deal with those hazards. I will ensure that we have training for all staff that they know how to implement at a moment's notice under stress. I will ensure that we have recovery and also other opportunities for teachers to be trained along with the students being educated with it. I will ensure that everybody has the training tools and standards to be able to do whether it's an active shooter or something to a less extent.
Okay. Sarah.
I think this is more of a multi-pronged approach. I think during the building processes that we're going through and almost to the tail end of here, we did a great job of thinking about our building entrances and access to the buildings and making sure that those are locked entrances and controlled entrances. And so I think continuing to evaluate that and making sure that those are safe and guarded. I think the resource officers that we have available to students at our locations are also a benefit, but there's also a mental health component to this. I think we miss an opportunity if we don't think about this from the standpoint of how are we greeting students and where are we meeting them each day and what does their mental health look like, and catching them in the state that they're in right now and getting them help.
Okay. Charles.
I believe it is important to collaborate with our teachers and our students and all the district schools and buildings to make sure that we as a district gain a clear understanding of where the areas are located throughout our community, be it physical or be it more something that's more emotional areas of need and safety as well. It's really important, I believe, that we develop relationships with not just our school district and law enforcement, but also with the emergency personnel, mental health professionals, and then other areas like the teachers and staff, as well as students and parents as it relates to fine-tuning the emergency plans that we might already have here within the school district. And then finally, I will support collaboration with law enforcement and emergency personnel to make sure that we enhance existing emergency plans.
Great. DJ.
It's quite a subject, isn't it? I think it'd be really important to meet with local law enforcement, and I don't know, maybe even state law enforcement. I think that, I don't know what the policies are at this point, but I think it's very important that we dig into them and make sure they're being followed. I think that training, the teachers need to be trained. We need to have a plan. It's terrible that we have to worry about these things, but apparently we do. But I'd like to get some outside help that really understand it, because Lord knows I don't understand it. But I would make sure that those policies were followed, and I would make sure the teachers got the training that they needed, and the administrators, and I guess the kids. And I really think it's important that maybe we spot these problems before they become a problem. Most times there's been a lot of, bullying, a little this, a little that, some weird things that have happened. And I think that maybe if we got a little more proactive, maybe these things could be stopped before they ever started.
Okay. Randy.
We just spent, $205 million on school buildings. I would like to think there's a single point of entry into these buildings. My understanding, though, is that at the high school you can get in different doors, and there might be a monitor there, but they kind of just kind of look at you and they let you walk in. So I think whatever we have for district policies regarding this, we need to follow them. I'm also not opposed to having teachers carry in. And as long as there's, we got to have a good training system for them, and they have to be willing and volunteer for it, because if something tragic does happen, how long does it take law enforcement to get there? If we got teachers on staff that have been trained, I think that's critical. We have to look at it.
Okay. Lisa.
I think the safety of our schools is a community project. It involves partnerships between law enforcement, the school, and I think a valuable part of the project will be training our families. So often the culprit is someone whose mental health has been suffering, and the family member may have a sense that something was wrong but wasn't trained well enough to be able to spot it. We need to give our teachers support so they can pinpoint any child that is having mental health or emotional health issues, and have the resources in our school system or in partnership with outside the school system ways of meeting the needs of those students who have emotional and mental needs. Also, we have these wonderful new buildings, and what we don't have is an updated emergency plan. That would be one of my priorities on the board, was to get that done as soon as possible.
Okay. Derek.
I definitely agree with the emergency plan. I spent 11 years as a Nisswa firefighter and have had some training in mass shootings, and it is about education and training. Our teachers and our staff, our faculty, students should know what to do if a mass shooting happens. I also agree with all the mental health components, but what do we do if a mass shooting occurs? And right now, yes, our schools are not as secure as they should be. We did spend a lot of money on our school systems. There should be single points of entry. I have walked into the high school myself. Students have let me in the door, things like that, where they don't know me either. I'm not carrying a lanyard, things like that. We do need to tighten up our security. I think have made some great strides, but we are not there yet. So it is a very big concern for me as far as safety of our buildings and making sure we know every person that steps in that building and what they're doing there. So it is all about education. Just like we have a tornado drill, we should have mass shooting drills and what they're supposed to do if that occurs. I know some of that training happens now, but we really should crack down on the stringencies of the emergency plan.
Okay. We will move to the sixth question. And for this, we invited the local Teachers Union, Education Minnesota Brainerd, to submit a question for the candidates. So, Sarah, I think you will be get first up to answer this question. So I'll repeat it twice. So the question is, what, if anything, would you change to provide the support and balance that our district teachers need to become lifelong educators? So again, what, if anything, would you change to provide the support and balance that our district teachers need to become lifelong educators?
This is a great question, and having been a teacher, I've got lots of things on my list that I'd wish for our educators. I think first and foremost is giving them days that they can prepare, and we've been good about that as a board again this year, making sure that we're offering them some days that they can be prepared for the students that are coming into their classroom each day. And I think beyond that, making professional development readily available, giving them opportunities not only within their content areas, but within areas for them to be able to grow in their current positions or aspire to new positions, and helping them find life balance, because being an educator, that's not always an easy thing. When you've got kids at home and kids in your classroom and you've got work that comes home with you, the job never leaves. And as much as you love it, it's still hard to maintain that balance in your life.
Okay. Charles.
I believe it's important that we provide professional development to our teaching faculty. Right now, there are a certain amount of days a year where our teaching faculty are able to educate themselves, develop certain professional development opportunities, but a lot of those are dictated to us by the state. But I think it's also important that we provide our teaching faculty opportunities to be able to take time throughout the school year and appropriately to educate themselves and to also plan for the future. It's also important that we provide that basic respect for our teachers. And I think that's something that has to be done today, is beginning to incorporate what it means to respect and to honor our teachers. And one way that we can do that is to celebrate our teachers. And then also to provide a fiscally responsible way to make sure that we compensate our teachers as well.
Okay. DJ.
I think that we need to I think that we need to protect our teachers. I think that this behavior problems in the schools has really gotten out of control. I believe, I'm not positive, but I believe, and if there aren't, I'll get the policies put in there, but I think there are policies on the books that if we would just enforce them, would really help the teachers out. Like I said, I met with a bunch of teachers. They were telling me about a first grader that missed 64 days last year. And they can't do anything to the parents, and they can't do anything to the kid. They're so overwhelmed trying to keep that little guy up to speed. A third grader came in that was homeschooled that couldn't write his name. He's in third grade. Can't put him back in first grade because he's too big and he's smarter than a first grader most likely on other social issues. And so what do they do with him? So they got to try and drag him through. It's no wonder teachers are leaving because they don't have the support that they need. I think there's too much money wasted in this $100 million budget on things that aren't important instead of supporting our teachers and making sure the kids get the education that they need.
Okay, Randy.
We need to support the teachers in controlling the classroom. I've also had a chance to visit with some teachers, and they said the biggest issue is during the day. Minor disruptions just shut down the class. Just shut it down. And everyone has to sit around and watch as this child has their tantrum. And then when they're done, they can get back to teaching. And then when they get home, they got to work on lesson plans. What I'd like to see is more teacher assistants back in the regular classroom so that when there are issues in the classroom, the teacher assistant can take care of that. The regular teacher can just keep teaching. And they need to be respected. I mean, there's a nationwide shortage of 400,000 teachers. We need to prioritize retaining and attracting good teachers in our school district. And one way to do it, I believe, is through respect.
Lisa.
So one of the most fun parts of running for school board has been meeting so many individuals in the community, and especially the teachers. And when I've spoken to the teachers, one of the first things I hear is they want visibility of their school board. And I commit that I will be in the schools every week if I am on the board. I will rotate schools, and I will be visible to the teachers and the students so I can see what's going on there. I also know they need support. We know that the Brainerd Public Schools Foundation offers grants to support teachers in projects they want to pursue. We need to add to that, make sure that teachers feel that they can do what they want and have the support to do it. The teachers also want to make sure that their successes are shared. We need to tell the stories of the successes because there are so many. And finally, I think this is most important. Our public education is a community project. And some of the hardest parts of a teacher's day are when parents are getting very upset about what they think is being taught. We need to make it easier for parents to know what is being taught so they don't think that things that aren't being taught are threatening them.
Okay. And Derek.
Yeah, I think obviously we all agree up here that we need to support our teachers, but it's how do we support them? A big thing for me is that we need to allow our teachers to teach and take back their classroom. And what I mean by that, it's been talked about earlier, is disciplinary reasons. There's a lot of students running the classroom when it should be the other way around. Our teachers need to take back their classroom. We need to back them on their disciplinary actions. We have procedures in place. We need to follow those policies and procedures of what happens when they get disciplined. It's not send them out of the room and they get just come back and nothing ever happened, or they go down to the principal's office and there's no repercussion. We have to stick hard on discipline. These kids might not be getting it at home, so guess what? They better get it at school. They need to learn how to respect themselves and respect each other. But the biggest thing for a teacher in that instance is that we have their back. If they make that decision on a disciplinary action, that we support them. And then, of course, outside of just taking back that classroom, we do need to provide them with whatever educational components they need to be better at their job. Whether it's seminars or they're traveling to certain education pieces to make their job easier or better, then we need to support that and follow through. I wanted to be the first bell ringer, so thanks.
Thank you, Derek. Lowell.
Problem is with going last, everybody pretty well takes your talking points. So to kind of reiterate what most everybody says, first and foremost, our teachers are good. They are learning every day alongside of our students. They are all there for the right reason, and they need to know first and foremost we have their back. I've heard from teachers and students what is said to them and disruptive in class. I have read our policies. Our school district actually has excellent policies. Where we fall short is we don't enforce them consistently to all students. We need to ensure that our teachers have free time. No emailing them on weekends. Let them have their time off to recharge and rejuvenate. They need to be given adequate class prep. They need to be paid for their duties that are outside of teaching instead of expecting them to do other things for free. We need to look at our dress codes. I got 10 seconds. We need to have fair contracts. We need to have professional development funds, and we need to have no unnecessary meetings for our teachers. Almost a bit.
Thank you. So we'll move to our seventh and final prepared question. And Charles, this will be for you. Remind you, this is a 30-second response. So just 30 seconds for each candidate to respond to this. So the question is, what is the most significant difference between you and the other candidates in this race? So what is the most significant difference between you and the other candidates in this race?
All right, thank you. I believe that I guess I'm very proud to be a fiscally responsible board member. When I first stepped on the board a couple years ago, we were receiving health benefits that were the amount of $27,000 per board member. I led a movement for the board to step down and move away from health benefits and dental benefits for the board. I'm also active and visible member within the community as well. And one thing is I'm very accessible and handsome as well.
Okay.
Well, wouldn't you?
DJ.
I think the thing that sets me apart is that I'm a business person. I think I've got a lot of experience with financial statements. We've got quite a few businesses. I look at financial statements monthly, and I think I could find, you look at this thing and it's like, oh my Lord, it's $1.8 million upside down. And I think that that's 2% of the budget pretty much, and I think it's pretty easy to find 2%. And the last thing is I have a pretty good track record of getting things done. I'm not going to sit around and make committees and have, we're going to sit around and have seances to think about things. We're going to get those things done.
Okay. Randy.
What was the question again?
Yeah, sure. What is the most significant difference between you and the other candidates in this race?
Okay. I played professional baseball.
Yeah.
Seriously though, in my working 45 years in the retirement plan consulting area, I had to take really complex issues and explain it to individuals. So I think that's one thing that I can make the complex simpler. I guess that would set me apart from the rest of the group, in my opinion.
Okay. Elisa.
I would say the breadth of my skill set and all of the different experiences I've had around the world that I can bring to bear for the school board. And also, I have a 6 and 8-year-old. I'm already volunteering in the schools, and I will continue to do so for the next at least 13 years.
Okay. Derek.
Having 2 kids in the district, my wife being a teacher, myself coaching 2 sports for ISD 181, I feel I am the most plugged into what's happening within our district. I have a lot of relationships built within staff, with sports, extracurriculars. So again, what I feel like sets me apart right now is I have a really good pulse on what's happening in ISD 181, and I think that's super important to be visible and an active board member and keep a thumb on that pulse the entire time that you are serving our community.
Okay. Lowell.
I was going to come up with a pithy response, but 30 seconds isn't long enough. So we'll just get to it. I have a passion to improve the quality of education here in Brainerd. I am a 20-year resident in this community, in this school district. I know our kids, I know our community, I know our family members. I really do believe that the school district here should prioritize and respect parents' rights in all aspects of policy, curriculum, and culture, and we should be transparent in everything we do at the board. We need to rebuild the trust between the community and the school board. Thank you.
And Sarah?
You know, I have experience in education and experience in business and in governing boards and my business acumen. But I think the most important thing that I bring to this board, and when I look at the board that we have today, I value it, is the difference in experiences that I bring and an open-mindedness to the other perspectives that are at the table.
Okay. So, excuse me. Would now like to present a audience question, and just remind this will be a 30-second response, and DJ, you will be the first person to respond to this question, and then we'll go through the group again. So I'll read it twice, but the question is, what are your thoughts about school district activities to promote equity in the schools? So what are your thoughts about school district activities to promote equity in the schools? That's 30 seconds.
I think public schools are funded with tax dollars, and I don't think we should be wasting tax dollars on these things. I think it's a home problem. It's a family thing, and if you want to take your kids down that road, you should. Public schools, we don't have the time, the staff, the bandwidth to teach them any more than we're already teaching them. Our test scores are slipping. Kids aren't coming out quite as sharp. You know, we need to teach kids how to think, not what to think, and I think that stuff's got to go, because they are not teaching individualism. It's just everyone's the same.
Okay. Randy?
In my opinion, equity lowers the bar. Could you imagine a track meet, where cross-country meet, where everyone took off at the same time and everyone finished at the same time? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So we need to raise the bar. We need to keep challenging students, but also at the same time we have to lift up students that may not be as gifted. And we can do it at the same time.
Okay. Elisa?
One of the most remarkable things about spending time in Mrs. Schrader-Stave's class last year was just the breadth of the range of students, personalities, backgrounds, interests. And one teacher has to meet all of those needs. And I think what we need to be doing is supporting the teachers so that they have the resources to meet the needs of all the students. When we say we're not supporting equity, we're also saying we're not supporting special ed. What that means is we have to acknowledge that there are some students who have needs that are different than others.
Okay. Derek?
Yeah, I'd have to actually agree with that. We can't say that we're not promoting equity. We have to promote equity. It's just how are we doing it? I'm also for not, pulling a level of student or athlete or whatever that is down to lift that bottom person up to meet a certain standard that we're comfortable with. We need to teach hard work and pride in what we do, but we do need to promote equity, and it is this challenge of how are we actually going to do that? And there is ways to do that, and that's collaboration with each other of how we come up with these programs and make it work.
Okay. Lowell?
Equity is a buzzword that's been thrown around and used in very different meanings. I'm going to use the definition as defined by the Minnesota Department of Education. As such, the third part of that is suspect, and it is against the civil rights law of the 6th and the 7th Civil Rights, and it is also against the 14th Amendment of Equal Protection of the Law Clause. We should ensure that all of our students, irregardless of their area, have the tools they need to succeed.
Okay. Sarah?
I heard someone describe equity this way, and I thought it was really good, and I'm going to share it. If you are asking kids to run a race and you give them all a size 8 shoe, The kids that wear a size 8 are going to do really well, and the kids that are too big or too small are likely not. And we have kids that wear a different size shoe than a size 8, probably my kid, maybe your kid, and I want us to meet them where they are. And I think that's important for them to feel safe and in who they are. They need to be able to do that to be able to learn.
Okay. And Charles?
I believe it's important to prepare our graduates to enter into a global community and to provide education that will increase awareness in our graduates to make sure that they understand diversity, but also are enabled to be able to effectively communicate with future coworkers or business partners as they move out into the business world.
Okay. So we'll now move to the closing section. And this is a chance for everybody to give a closing statement. And Randy, you'll be the lead person on this. So each candidate will have 30 seconds to just wrap up, give a closing statement, and then we'll move through the whole group. So Randy.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring the School Board Candidate Forum. Thank you to all the candidates that are up here and all of you that attended tonight's forum. If elected, I will not let you down. I will bring conservative, common sense leadership and solutions for changing times. My name is Randy Heidman, and I am asking for your vote on Tuesday, November 8th. Good evening, and be well.
Okay. Elisa.
On the school board, I will champion a world-class education for every student. I commit to be in the schools every week. I am thoughtful and reasonable, and I will ground every decision in data, information from multiple sources, and conversations with educators, parents, students, staff, and the community. On the ballot, look for the E, which stands for Elisa, and also happens to stand for Excellence in Education.
Derek.
It's hard for 6 school board members to make big decisions in our district, and I think it's important that when I'm making decisions that I reach out to as many people as I possibly can to get as much data as I possibly can from all different walks of life. We need to make the best decisions with the information that we have, and I believe that our board has strived to do that, and maybe we made some of the wrong decisions along the way, but all you can do is make the best decisions with the information that you have. That's something I'm going to do, and I'm going to be very communicating with a lot of our community members in these decisions. And again, just looking out for the best interests of our students and our teachers. And I look forward to your vote on November 8th.
Lowell.
First of all, thank everybody here, including all the candidates. I think that this is really simple for you, the voter. If you're happy with how the school board's been running for the last couple of years, then vote for the incumbents and those people that are with them. If you are not happy with the way the school board has been running, you have clear choices up here that will represent parents' values and everything else and represent our community and bring back warrior pride. Thank you.
Sarah.
I feel I'm an accessible and connected board member, and my experience as a parent and a professional and having students in the district gives a well-rounded perspective at the board table. I'm invested in our children and their opportunities for them to reach their highest potential. We need to meet each child where they are. I'm interested and connected in the work in the district, and I humbly ask for you to vote for me to continue as representing you on the school board.
Great. Charles.
I'm an experienced board member. I have strong communication skills and a willingness to hear and collaborate with others. I'm also a courageous advocate for your students. I would appreciate your vote coming this November.
Okay. DJ.
I want to thank everybody for coming out, thank all the candidates. I think schools should be about education, not indoctrination. I think every child deserves an opportunity to learn at the highest levels. The focus of our schools should be on teaching our kids reading, writing, math, science, history, not politicized curriculums. Our children should be equipped with the fundamentals to go into adulthood. I think we need to teach kids how to think, not what to think.
Okay. So thank you. And thank you to the candidates and everybody here for staying late tonight. That concludes our forum. And let's give our candidates one more round of applause. So you can find candidate materials and voting information near the front doors. Please remember to vote. On election day is Tuesday, November the 8th, and early voting starts Friday, September 23rd. You can also get more information on vote411.org for accurate information regarding your voter registration. On behalf of Brainerd Lakes Chamber of Commerce, League of Women Voters, and Brainerd Dispatch, thank you for being here. Good night.